Hi guys, I'm Beth. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Usually you will see me reviewing books on this channel, but today I wanted to do something a little bit different in the face of the Oklahoma teacher walkout. As you might have heard, Oklahoma's educational system is in crisis. It has a lot of budgetary concerns, and the main one is just how little teachers are paid. So I personally come from a family full of teachers. I'm lucky enough to have 4 very loving parents who have all been involved in the educational system in some way. This makes it sound like I have like a polygamy family or something. I don't. My parents split up and got remarried, and to other teachers, yeah. And so one of those parents is my mommy, and she is here today to talk to me about the just the state of the educational system in Oklahoma and the upcoming possible teacher strike and what all of that means. So keep in mind, this is just 2 people's opinions, obviously 2 people who are very biased in favor of the educational system receiving the funding that it needs. So take all that with a grain of salt, but of course we're completely right in everything we say.
That's true.
All right, so as another means of introduction, this is my mom. She spent many, many years teaching middle school English to teens. That's really...
13-year-olds.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm going to just ask her a few questions about her experience in the classroom. So first of all, how about you describe your experience as an Oklahoma teacher?
I loved teaching. It was just a lot of fun for me. I loved all the kids, most of the kids. I liked creating my own lessons. I liked learning how to better my practice. A lot of the practice is learning how to teach, and a lot of it is learning how to manage the different personalities and needs of the kids. And it was every year a challenge, so I liked doing that. I liked learning how to work with my co-teacher, how to get a handle on our best practices so that we could raise the kids' reading scores and writing scores and get them ready for the work world.
Did you ever have overcrowding in your classroom?
When I started teaching about 25 years ago, we did have some overcrowding. It took a while for some of the principals to learn how to schedule students correctly. So at the first of the year we might be overcrowded, and then as the first month went on they would calm down and get it all straightened out. But the last 10 years I was teaching, I would have to say our principals were the best that I've ever worked with, best I've seen in town actually, and they were perfect from day one, so I didn't have just too much overcrowding.
That's awesome.
I know. I loved where I worked.
That was one of the things that was a big problem, like that there was supposed to be some law against overcrowding, but there was still a lot of it.
There is a law against. There are several laws about overcrowding. There are laws about how many LD kids you can have in a classroom, but the schools have learned how to get around that. And some schools would rather pay the fine than lower the class size because it's cheaper. But I was fortunate enough to have, I just think the world's best co-teacher, so we didn't worry too much about overcrowding or how many LD kids we had in our classroom. She was magic.
Awesome.
I learned from her every day.
Oh, warm fuzzies.
Yeah.
What effect do you think the current Oklahoma teacher pay and budgetary constraints play on the classroom and on literacy?
It has the more I thought about this question, the more I think it's a really good question, because I, of course, was a wonderful teacher and my students benefited greatly. But when I retired, they didn't replace me with another English teacher, Beth. They replaced me with someone who wasn't a teacher. It's a program called Teach Across America. Students are scholarshiped on the provision that they will teach for a few years in public schools before they go on to their chosen careers. So I was replaced by one of those people. So he sat in my room, not my room anymore, I guess, but he sat in my room and he did my lesson plans, but he was not capable of putting together a test, and I know that because he called me a few times trying to get me to make a test for him. I know. And
so you weren't replaced with a certified teacher?
I was not replaced with a certified teacher. I was replaced with this
And you were the
guy.
head of the English department.
I was the head of the department. I was the head of my team. Yes. And the scores, the writing scores and reading scores have gone down every year since I retired. But, you know, he had no idea how to discipline a class or how to manage a class. And from what I saw, didn't really care if he did or not, because he was just a short timer.
I've heard that a lot of Oklahoma people have been getting emergency certified. Is that bringing in good people, bad people, or just a Band-Aid?
I'm thinking it's a Band-Aid. If you want good teachers, you're going to have to just flat out get good teachers. And of course, right now, part of the problem is the teachers are going to walk out, which they should do, and I completely support it. But it's testing week, so I don't know. So when you ask about literacy, yes, it's going to affect literacy because the kids don't have, in my case at least, a certified teacher.
What role do you think literacy plays in shaping people or the future?
Well, it's everything, isn't it? And there's so many kinds of literacy now. There's mathematical literacy, which I could use a brush up in. There's computer literacy, reading and writing and speaking literacy, and they're everything. Whether you're going to go into the military or whether you're going to go into the job market or raise children and stay home with them, it is everything, because you're not going to promote, you're not going to do well if you don't have some of these basic skills down.
So what would you recommend for parents if a teacher strike does end up happening on April 2nd?
I think you can expect the walkout. I don't think it's not a what if. I think it's a done deal. So I would recommend parents have a plan. Know where your kids are going to go, where you're going to park them until the teachers are back in class.
Or we're just going to let them roam the streets.
Oh, yes, that's a good plan. In herds. But have something for them to do. Get out those chores and maybe a couple of extra lessons. Have them make you a book report.
So as a fun question, what are you reading right now?
I'm reading two things. I'm glad you asked. I always like to promote books. I'm reading for fun because I love it so much. Alona Andrews' new book. It's an online book, Sweep of the Blade, which is incredible. It's an adjunct to her Innkeeper books, and you should read it. It's on, but you have to go to her website to get the chapters. And every Friday we get a chapter, and I look forward to every Friday. The other book I'm reading is a result of something you mentioned in one of your Read Remark things. It's the Archie Sheridan books, which are depressing.
Man, they're so good.
They're so good, but the guy is such a downer. He needs to seriously get some counseling.
I know.
But yeah, good mysteries. Apparently, he's one of those people who is excellent at his job, but really crappy in his personal life. So, emotional intelligence matters, folks.
I love those.
Yeah, he needs to. Do you really? I do. He needs to pick up his game. He is really weirding me out. What are you reading?
That's so funny. Right now, I just finished An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. It's really good.
Is it sad?
Yes.
It sounds like it would be sad.
It made me want to cry, which sucks because I was listening to the audiobook version of it and finished it at work.
I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah. And so it's like a man goes away to prison for 5 years. He's unjustly accused and then comes back, but the relationship is irrevocably changed. It's really good.
And sad.
Yes.
Dear. I'm going to need a happy book after this. We need happy.
Yeah. All right. Do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share?
Pay teachers more. Read books. Those are my thoughts.
Okay, so obviously as a parent, I am extremely nervous about the upcoming teacher strike. I'm trying to think up what sort of lesson plans I can make for the boys. It'll be really interesting trying to do almost a version of homeschooling where both of the parents work full-time. Not quite sure how that's going to pan out, but I have grand plans.
I think I know.
I have grand plans, I tell you. It makes me very nervous. But also as a parent, I fully support the teachers because I mean, just think of the children. I believe the children are our future. We have to teach them well and let them lead the way, and we cannot do that if we are getting substandard teachers or paying them not what they're worth, because then we will just not get teachers. People will be so turned off by this lower standard of living where they can't even make a living that they just won't do it. So it's necessary. It's going to hurt. I'm not going to lie about it. It's going to hurt as a parent, and probably it'll hurt the teachers too, because I know that they'll feel guilty about it, but it's necessary. So we'll see what happens. Thanks, Mommy.
That was fun.
So here's an update. We shot this video on a Wednesday. Right now it is Saturday, and as of right now, schools are definitely closed on Monday. Whether everything can be ironed out on Monday and schools reopen on Tuesday or not is to be seen. At this point, I'm not sure how long the teacher strike will or will not last, but I do know that as of Monday, schools are closed. Now, there are several different locations that are staying open in order to give kids free school lunches and breakfasts, so that's definitely still on the table. Our superintendent for the city has been really great about reaching out to us parents and keeping us informed of everything along the way. So as soon as he knows something, I feel pretty confident that we will know something. So let me share a couple of stats with you real quick to drive home just how important this issue is. These come from OSSBA.org. That's the Oklahoma State School Board Association. Oklahoma teacher pay is lowest in the region and near the lowest in the country, contributing to the state's historic teacher shortage. In the last 3 years, Oklahoma has approved more than 2,600 emergency teaching certificates, leaving tens of thousands of Oklahoma students with underprepared, underqualified teachers. Districts have eliminated 480 teaching positions in the last school year. The State Board of Education has issued a record number of emergency teaching certificates this year. Emergency teaching certificates are issued not necessarily to people who are qualified, but more as a band-aid, a temporary solution when there is a shortage of teachers. And so the fact that we've had to issue over 2,600 of those in the last 3 years tells you that we just can't seem to keep teachers. In fact, 11 out of every 10 Oklahoma teachers leave the state or the profession every year. 17% of new teachers in Oklahoma leave the state or the profession after their first year. And 76% of the out-of-state students who come here to matriculate in college end up leaving the state and never teaching in Oklahoma once they graduate. So what the right solution is, I'm just not sure. I don't really have any eloquent words to wrap up my thoughts other than to say it's definitely a problem, definitely needs to be solved. And I definitely support the teachers. So let's hope that things are resolved quickly and favorably for everyone. And I will see you all next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.